Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I am Taylor Jackson, and today I'm joined by my friend Greg Rollett. I'm going to split this podcast up into 3 episodes because it makes the most sense. The first episode today, we are going to be talking specifically about creating video content, what it does for your business, and how to be a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, how Greg did it. He is one of the most charismatic people in front of a camera that I know, so lots of great advice in here today. Let's get to it. I'm joined today by Greg Rollett. He's been a friend of mine for how long? Probably almost 10 years now.
It's crazy, man, in this online world where you can meet people and hang out and do all this stuff online. But I think it has been like 10 years.
Yeah. I originally found you. I was searching online when the 4-Hour Workweek came out, and I was searching for lifestyle design, and you were like the #1 Google hit, and you owned that space super well. And then I went down and joined you. Was it a conference or a talk, I guess?
Something like that down in, I think, Miami, right?
Yeah. And at the time, I don't even know what I was really looking for. I think I was kind of lost as a human in that time. I had no real direction. I was already doing wedding photography, but I don't know. I just kind of I read the 4-Hour Workweek and it piqued some interest, at least sections of it. And yeah, I don't know. I decided to book the trip, and Florida sounded pretty good. And
yeah, there's worse places to be, I guess. But I think it's that. I think the idea for you is that you kind of wanted more from your life, whatever it was, and you were doing cool stuff. I remember you were already, doing wedding photography, you were traveling, you were doing some cool stuff. But I think you wanted to. It's that desire for contribution, right? You wanted to now give back, you wanted to teach, you wanted to help other people, but you weren't exactly sure the vehicle or the right way to do it. And I love what you're doing now. I really do think you found your groove between a photographer and the TV show to this podcast to some of the courses that you do and the Facebook groups and you do all of that while still shooting weddings, which is crazy. Yeah. But now I feel like you have both the creative side, the innovation side, but you've also mixed it with this business teaching contribution side that is, I think, really brought you into your zone, gives you a sense of fulfillment, if you will, for the whole thing. So I think you're doing awesome, if that means anything.
Well, thanks
that means
very much.
Anything at all. So.
I appreciate the testimonial. I love what you're doing as well. I've been I guess we're pretty similar in the way that we both seem to do a lot of different things that kind of all follow a rough timeline. But if things kind of pop up outside of that, you're happy to go down that road. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're kind of doing now? What's your main focus, and maybe what's kind of led you there?
Yeah, sure. So right now, I run ambitious.com. Obviously it's a really, really cool domain, but it's meant a lot to me. It was funny. I was at Full Sail University poking around there. I'm on their board of internet marketing. So I help with the curriculum for their internet marketing department. And I'm walking around the teacher's lounge and all that. And I saw a product that I created 8 years ago. And it was called Ambitious Profits. I didn't even remember creating the product, but I created it 8 years ago called Ambitious Profits. And then 8 years later, I own ambitious.com. I was like, wow, this is but we own ambitious.com, and it is morphed as with most projects. But right now we are really in our groove as a production company for thought leaders, for experts, for small business owners and entrepreneurs who want a place to, showcase the things that they do. And we do that from 2 different ways. One is helping them to develop, create, launch, and sell online courses, because I feel like that's an incredible way to create freedom in your life, to contribute, to give back, but also to create a great income. And the second is, and I think we're going to talk a lot about it today, is create online TV shows, because I believe that there's no better way to connect with your audience, to build a tribe, to build a following, influence, whatever you want to call it, than to be on video, because people get to see you, they see your emotions, they buy into you. We're obsessed with kind of reality stars and all these things, but how can the dentist, how can the financial advisor, in this case, how can the wedding photographer create that same relationship? And I don't think there's any better way to do it than video. So we provide that service for them. And so that's what ambitious.com has become, is now kind of a production company, a media company, to help people to create, launch, and sell courses, and then create and now host their TV shows. And when we say TV shows, we're still talking YouTube, we're talking Facebook, but we're also talking, some of the OTT platforms, Apple TV and Roku and Amazon Prime. And the evolution of that is it's really my evolution. It's all the stuff that I use and I did to build my brand and, you know, build our business, and all that has all come back to video. I mean, that's the stuff you saw from me 10 years ago as I was shooting cheesy YouTube videos about lifestyle design. And, you know, and then I remember, dude, we were talking about it when you were here in Florida a couple of weeks ago, is, you know, you shot this amazing video where like you turn the light on and turn the light off and all that stuff. And I was just like, man, like, but people connect with you so much better. And even as a photographer, you're like, but I take pictures. Yeah, you take pictures, but can you tell the story of how you take pictures through video? Can you explain how you work and how a wedding's going to go, and, you know, some cool scenarios and how to set up great shots and how to do an engagement session? The way you do that is through storytelling, and you tell those stories through video. And so anyway, it's kind of a long-winded way of saying how we got to here today.
Yeah.
But yeah, but video, man, that's where it's at.
It's kind of interesting because that video that you're talking about, I don't think it's online anymore, but it was super underproduced. Like, the production quality was not good, but it connected in a way almost because the production quality wasn't there. And I kind of found that at least like when I made my first promotional video for my wedding photography company, that was one of the key moments that I was blogging, I was typing kind of about myself, but when I made that video is when my career really started to take off. I guess like, yeah, it's just incredibly powerful. And I don't understand why, at least in our market here, there's not a lot of other photographers with even just a promotional video. So
I'm gonna flip the script and ask you a question. What was so when you did that first video, what was the video? Was it just a compilation of your photos to like some music? Did you talk in it? I mean, what I'm not talking about now, because I know now your stuff is ridiculously awesome. But even back then, what was your first promotional video like?
My first promo video, I think I wrote like a 2.5 minute script. And I like carefully went over like every single word because I'm incredibly socially awkward. I've improved a little bit since then, but at the time I was pretty bad. So I just wrote it all out word by word, and I had my buddy Mark roll camera on it, and basically he would hold up a page with like the sentence I was supposed to say, and I would have to say it like 5 or 6 or 7 times before I got it to feel natural, because I was like either robotic or I just couldn't get into my own voice, I guess. And then for B-roll, we got 2 of my friends to, they were already married, so they just threw on their wedding dress, and we kind of roamed around Toronto and grabbed some shots because we needed a lot of B-roll to cover the fact that I never said 2 sentences in a row.
So what's crazy. So now I'll relate it to like the teaching point is, you know, again, like a 2-minute video. This isn't like a 20-minute, you know, documentary. So 2 minutes where you're talking about who you are, what you do, how you help people, and then how people can get in touch with you. And then you asked a couple favors. You're like, hey man, you guys got married. You still have your wedding dress. You get a suit. Let's go roam around the town. And guess what? You're a photographer, so you can take cool pictures of them around the town. So it's like a free little session for them. And now you have this video that tells a better story than just 2 paragraphs on your website that you copied from some other wedding photographer, where it's, we are professional and we have great customer service and it's the highest quality and we'll make your wedding a beautiful day. And it's the same like canned 6 sentences. Now you have this beautiful video that makes people go, wow, that's the guy I want to work with. And I think that's the power of video. And then now if you can do it on a more regular basis, where you're doing those types of videos after every wedding that you do, after every session that you do, now, it's showing the volume of work you do, which is good because they want a photographer who's booked all the time, right? We like the guys who are in demand. There's scarcity, there's urgency. I got to book this guy before he books with somebody else. It's showing that you're doing things. It's showing that you're current, that you're not going to take pictures from like the 90s. You're going to take pictures that are current to today and, you know, whatever the style is that you do. And so they don't have to be these, you know, incredibly, you know, Netflix style 30 for 30 documentaries, but just documenting the process of you know, doing these weddings, doing these shoots, I think is utterly important. And it tells the story better than any words could on your website.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Instagram stories? My fiance, Lindsay, uses it pretty much every day and documents a lot of her life. And now I would say that probably half the inquiries that she gets are from Instagram, which is pretty crazy.
That's incredible. And I think, so to me, I'm platform agnostic, that I don't think that it's about Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. It's about the one that I think you resonate with. Because when it comes to marketing, what I say all the time is everything works, but not everything's going to work for you. right? So while Instagram stories is great for Lindsay, it might be great for somebody listening to this, but someone else is like, well, I don't really use Instagram, I use Facebook. Well, then great, use Facebook, right? And or I don't really use Facebook, I use YouTube. Well, great. There's I just read the VidCon was a couple 2-3 weeks ago. It's like the biggest video conference for people in the industry. And the CEO of YouTube came out and said that there's 1.5 billion logged in users to YouTube every month. That's a lot of freaking people. There's probably somebody that wants to get married who's looking for wedding videos on YouTube. So it's not about, well, Instagram's the hot thing, so you got to do that, or Facebook's I think it's about the platform that you're very comfortable with. Now, I think over time, you want to be on all the platforms. But I think day one, if you've never been on any of them, pick one, because it is difficult to say, all right, well, I got to make a 5 to 7 minute video for YouTube, and then I got to make a 2-minute video for Facebook, and then I got to do all these daily things for Instagram stories and minute square videos. Just pick one and roll with it, build your audience, and then you add a second vertical, and then you add a third vertical, and then you add a fourth vertical. I think most people fail is probably the wrong word, but they get discouraged because they're trying to create stuff for 8 platforms. And instead of, like, for Lindsay, she's got this huge following on Instagram, but if she tried to do that on 10 platforms, she might have 1/10 the following on Instagram, 1/10 the following, and it dilutes it, and therefore she's making no progress. Instead, going all in on that one platform. Now, I don't remember what you said, but half of her inquiries or whatever are coming from Instagram because she's gone all in on that one platform. So I don't care what platform it is, go all in on one of them and then start adding the others as you grow. Because if you try to do too much at the same time, we all know it. Like I see people all the time, like, I'm going to start a daily podcast. And then day 4 comes around and they're like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. So just go all in on the one thing that you can be consistent with. So the two big words, and it's on the back of my cell phone. I have these custom cell phone cases made from my buddies at Mindfuel, and it says constancy and consistency. And I think those are the 2 most important words when it comes to promoting, marketing yourself, personal branding, whatever you want to call it, is to constantly be in front of your market. And so for Lindsay with Instagram Stories, she's constantly in front of her market because multiple times a day she's posting these videos, right? But then there's also consistency. So it's not that she posts 6 times today and then skips a few days and then randomly posts something. It's consistently every day she's posting a few times a day. Those 2 things added together. And so whether it's a weekly show, whether it's a 2 times a week, whatever it is, you want to constantly be in front of your marketplace, because if you've gone too long without pushing out some piece of content or pushing out a video, they forgot about you. But also, if you're not consistent, there's no schedule to it, there's no frequency to it, they're not going to keep coming back. So I know there was a lot kind of to unpack there, but pick the one platform that you're going to go all in on and be constant with it and be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And I guess to go back to even a more previous point and our obsession with kind of reality shows is that, like, our dog will get noticed around town now, and they won't notice us. They'll be like, oh my God, is that Richard the Bulldog? So just from like Instagram stories, and it's just, I don't know, it attracts a different type of person. And I guess we were kind of talking about it, if you want to talk about it a little bit, when we were down in Florida, just kind of the silent majority of people that are out there, because not everyone is going to be commenting on
No, well,
stories.
Obviously in the wedding world, not everyone's getting married tomorrow either, right? So you have to be ready for the market that's going to be getting married 6 months from now, 12 months. I don't know how far in advance you guys book, whether you're booking a year in advance, 6 months in advance, 90 days in advance, but you always got to be building that, because there's a girl or a woman right now who is, thinking about getting married, and she's starting to go on Pinterest, and she's starting to go on Instagram, and she's starting to go on YouTube and starting to get ideas. And, she might not be commenting. She might not be liking it right now. She might not be, doing anything but just watching it. And maybe she subscribes to your channel. Maybe she likes your page, but there's no engagement quite yet. But if you stop producing content, well, now that person goes and finds somebody else. But if you are consistently producing content, when that person is ready, you're the person that they're going to turn to, because like you just said, they know your bulldog. They know your kids if you have kids. They know, the coffee shop that you go to because you're always blogging or vlogging there. They know all this stuff about you. Who are they going to go to? The wedding photographer down the street who just posted a Groupon? Or are they going to go to the person who they have this intimate relationship with? And it's funny. It goes back to why we like reality stars. Like we know stuff about the Kardashians or John and Kate +8 or whoever. Like we think that they're our friends. but all we've done is watch them through media. You now have that same opportunity. And if you have this relationship where the first meeting that you have with a client, they're asking about your dog or your kids, or they know that you're into IPAs or you're a big, Toronto Blue Jays fan, or whatever it is, doesn't matter. But if they're starting the conversation with that, you've already won. Because the other side of that is they go to your website, they click on prices, and they go, oh, you're too expensive. You never want that to be the conversation. You never want it to be about price. You want it to be about value. And the way that you create value is by having real relationships, by showing your work, by showing that you're actually good at what you do, and then inviting them into your life. Now, everybody has to draw the line. Like, some people won't show their family or their kids in their videos. Cool. You have to figure out where that line is, but you have to be vulnerable and you have to let people in at some level so you create that relationship. So I just think that that's super important for people to understand is, if you want to be taken at the highest level, at the value level, to get paid what you're worth, well, then you can't compete on price. The way to not compete on price is to compete on personality, to compete on story, to compete on value, and you show that through creating content.
Yeah. I just want to touch on something that you just said there that I think is really important, that I guess I've thought of, but I've never really put into words. And it's kind of almost like you're creating like this niche reality show, whether you're making like a daily vlog once a week or something like that, or Instagram stories that, yeah, they can see the coffee shop that you go to, and they probably have a relationship with that coffee shop. They've probably been there. So just to go somewhere that's familiar that they've been, I feel like just like really creates a strong connection with a complete stranger. And yeah, so that's really cool.
Love it. Yeah. Well, and so one other thing, and you and I talked about it when you were down here, especially for like photographers, like people just want to recreate stuff that you've already shot, which is like, it's just weird and, kind of lame from a creative standpoint. But if you shoot at this one pier that's got a beautiful sunset, there's people who are going to just, see your content, see your vlog, see whatever, and just be like, I want that shot. But if you don't go and you're not producing content and you're not showing behind the scenes of that shot, they don't know that you have that shot. So the more stuff that you're putting out there from a reality show standpoint or a vlog standpoint or a behind the scenes standpoint, the more opportunity you have to be discovered for that shot, right? If they don't know that you took that shot, they don't know that you can create that shot. So I think that that's really important in especially for the photography business and what you do, because people, and Taylor, you told me that all the time. You're like, people they just want me to do that shot again, but they don't know that you have that shot if you're not creating content that shows that shot. So you have to be putting stuff out there that shows those shots so people can relate to them.
Yeah. Let's go back to video again. And I know that you have become really good on video, or you were even great whenever I originally came across your stuff. I was not so good at video. What is the easiest way to kind of bridge that gap, that if you're a little bit shy, or maybe it's your first time ever doing something in front of a camera and you're used to being behind the camera, how do you make that transition?
Yeah. So the worst advice to give, but it's the truthful best advice, is that you have to get on camera. Right? I don't think that you can read a book about vlogging or buy a course about vlogging and all of a sudden you're going to be good on camera. The reason why I think I'm good on camera is because when I started my first online business was all about music marketing. So I was a former musician, toured the country, yada, yada. And then I decided to create a course teaching musicians how to do what I did. And every single day I posted a video. And they were god awful and they were terrible and the lighting was bad. And I would wear like hats that covered my eyes. So you couldn't even, there were shadows over my eyes. You couldn't see me. I would wear hoodies. Like it was the worst videos ever. But doing that every day allowed me to find my voice. It allowed me to see the looks that I wanted. It allowed me to see, am I more comfortable sitting or am I more comfortable standing? Am I more comfortable, for me, I got really comfortable on whiteboards, so I would just whiteboard everything out. I also got very comfortable, in different environments. But the only way I knew that is by doing. And, the way you got good at being a great photographer is you took photos. But so why wouldn't you apply that same theory now to video? The first couple ones you're going to do, they're going to suck. Like they're going to be bad. Like that's just reality, unless you're just, you're Justin Timberlake and everything you do is just, golden unicorns. But, for the majority of the world, like the first couple of videos are bad. I tell people all the time, like my first videos are terrible. They're still online. People can find them. If you look at like guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, like Gary V is like the man right now in the social media world. Go watch, and it's still on YouTube, Wine Library TV episode 1. It's unwatchable, right? But he can't get to Wine Library episode 1,000 until he shoots episode 1, until he shoots episode 2, until he shoots episode 3. And every episode gets a little better. Every episode gets a little better. So one is you got to get on camera. There's no substitute for getting good on camera without being on camera. The second thing is that you're always going to be your own worst critic. Even to this day, like when we were filming Ambitious Adventures last year, our reality show, and I would see cuts, I would like cringe at like myself on camera, and like no one around me even noticed any of it. Like just completely unnoticeable. But to me, I'm like, oh man, like my posture was a little off here, or like I can't believe my collar was a little, like whatever stupid things, the self-conscious things we have about ourselves. No one notices that stuff. No one notices the ums or the ahs, the knows. No one notices any of that stuff if, and this is the big if you're providing value. If the content is good, it'll overcome, a bad cut. It'll overcome a bad, you saying or even like in this interview, I'm like saying you like and and all that stuff, but you're willing to look past that because the content's good. So, people, you're your own worst critic. They don't even notice if your hair looks messy. Like they have no idea, because that's not why they're watching. They're not watching you because you're a polished, Gucci model. They're watching it because are you the guy that's going to help me to get the best photos for my wedding so that I can look at these photos 30 years from now and be like, oh my God, I looked beautiful that day, or, my remembering your family, your friends, whatever it is. So you need to overcome that. How you overcome that is by focusing on the audience and not focusing on you. So when most people that I get into the studio here, they're focusing on the way that they look or something like that. And I say, switch your focus, adapt your focus to the audience. Because when you're 100% focused and you're in the zone and you're present on helping them, then it doesn't become about you anymore. And all those subconscious thoughts, all those self-doubts go away because your focus is on providing value. And that's all the things that I do in my video is I don't care about me at all. I care about helping the person on the other end of the camera, whoever's watching it, whether there's one person watching or a million people watching, whatever it is. I'm trying to put on a performance for them. And when you think that way, when you think that I'm putting out this video because there's a bride right now who needs to see this because she's going to make a stupid decision and get the photographer down the street who's going to mess up the shot. When you think that way, when you have that much passion for what you do and you care so much about the person watching, all of your self-doubt disappears because it's no longer about you. It is, I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to do, but if you put that in the back of your mind, if you think about the person who's going to watch this who needs to see the video, you will become much better on camera because you'll stop thinking about, oh, there's a wrinkle in my shirt, or is my hair the right way, or I didn't do my makeup, or whatever thoughts come into your head will disappear almost instantly because all you do is care about the person on the other end of the camera.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot to be said about finishing something and not making it perfect, because if you try to perfect everything, as you know, like you'll just never be 100% happy with it. And one other thing that I just kind of have to add to that is even still to this day, whenever I'm making a video about something that I'm not super familiar with, or maybe it's my first time ever covering that subject, I have to be completely alone, like totally just kind of vlog style, camera, just me. If Lindsay's home, I'm like, okay, I just basically wait for her to leave. And I'm just like, okay, like as soon as she like walks at the door to walk the dog, like I've got 5 minutes and I'm going to make this video. And same with the editing room. Like if somebody's sitting over my shoulder or sitting with me while I'm editing my own stuff, like I feel super uncomfortable, but I know that if I'm just kind of there alone, like it's no big deal. So I guess that's kind of how I found my stride in the video thing, or the video side of the world. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but hopefully it does.
That was huge. You got to be comfortable, right? And so, when I first started, just similar to you, is I was the only guy in the room. So when I was making music, when I was first getting in the music industry, I was the producer, I was the engineer, I was the artist, I was everything, and I didn't have to worry about, someone sitting in the room laughing at me or cringing or whatever. I got to make music for me. And then when I started doing video, it was the same thing. I was making video for me. I ran in front of the camera, hit the record button, then ran in front of the camera and talked to the camera. And when I was done, I ran and hit record again. And if that gets you comfortable, that's great. If you need a support system on the opposite of that, if that scares the crap out of you, have your spouse there, have a friend there, have someone that you can trust there. But I think you're right. You've got to be somewhere that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, you'll be forcing things, you'll be pressing things, and that fear will sink in.
All right, that's all for today. Tomorrow we are going to be back and we're going to talk about building credibility for your business. See you then.